Hello and welcome to the One Liver to Love Facebook Live event, the 4 Bases of Liver Health. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo, television personality for MeTV-WJLP and on New Jersey. On behalf of Blue Faery, Global Liver Institute, and Eisai Inc., I'm pleased to welcome you today. The mission of the One Liver to Love campaign is to educate, provide advocacy resources, and create a community for those who have either been diagnosed or have a loved one who has been diagnosed with liver cancer. Today, we will be covering the 4 bases of liver health and sharing helpful information for people touched by liver disease or cancer. Before we begin, I must mention that this event is brought to you by Eisai, and although we are receiving a speaking fee from Eisai for this program, we would not be here if we were not passionate about educating people about liver disease and liver cancer as part of the One Liver to Love campaign. We have to be mindful of FDA rules on communication. So if you post comments or questions via social media during this event, please refrain from discussions about or direct or indirect references to specific therapies or drug names. Additionally, this presentation is intended for US audiences only. As this Facebook Live event is an educational disease awareness program about liver cancer, we will not be providing any clinical guidance or diagnostic advice. If you have any specific questions about your health or symptoms or are seeking medical advice, please speak directly with your healthcare team. With that being said, we're happy to address specific questions you may have about the topics we discussed today. So submit your questions as a comment below the live broadcast feed on Facebook. For any questions we're unable to address live, we'll get back to you as soon as we are able after the event is ended. Today, I am so honored to be joined by baseball legend and Latin Grammy nominated musician Bernie Williams and Dr. Mark Lewis, Director of Gastrointestinal Oncology at Intermountain Healthcare in Salt Lake City, Utah. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, great to be here.
So Bernie, it's so amazing to have you here. Why is this initiative so important to you?
Well, thanks for having me here today. Liver disease is personal to me. It has affected several people in my family, including my mom, my uncle, and my grandfather. So I've seen firsthand the difficulties and feelings that come with it. And I want to do what I can to raise awareness and help others educate in a similar situation.
Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Lewis, what brings you here today?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for the opportunity to share information as much as I can about liver disease and liver cancer to raise awareness. And my answer, like Bernie's, is personal. So professionally, I'm an oncologist, I'm a cancer doctor, but I entered the field through my father. So my dad died of cancer when he was 49, I was 14. And then I realized it's a family affair. I inherited cancer from him. So I'm a pancreatic cancer survivor. I'm 5 years out. So I see cancer from both sides of the exam table.
Well, we're happy you're here, healthy and thriving.
Thank you.
So let's get things started. Over the next half hour or so, we'll be covering some background on what the liver does, liver disease, and liver cancer. As I mentioned earlier, we'll also focus on the 4 bases of liver health. Bernie, I understand that this idea, I don't know where it came from, but it came from you. Talk to us about how you helped come up with it.
Well, I'm happy to talk about it. I wanted to come up with a way to help others remember the things that impact liver health. So I went back to my baseball roots. So I like to think of liver health through these 4 bases: nutrition, exercise, sleep, and mental health.
Well, that's such a relatable way to think of it, right? So before we get into each of the bases, let's briefly review how the liver works and what some of its essential functions are. Dr. Lewis, can you please explain?
Sure thing. So to begin with, the liver is the largest internal organ in the body. It's located right under the rib cage on the right side. It weighs about 3 to 5 pounds, and it's shaped like a football that's lost half of its air. The liver performs a variety of essential functions that our bodies depend on every single day. These include storing glucose or sugar to provide us with energy, breaking down fats as part of digestion, helping fight infection, and filtering the body's natural waste products and harmful substances, helping our body's immune response, processing and storing nutrients, playing an important role in regulating blood volume and the distribution of fluids in the body, and finally, producing proteins that help stop or prevent bleeding.
Wow, the liver does a lot.
It does a lot.
I had no idea until you just ran it down for us. Thank you.
Yeah.
So how many people are currently living with the disease?
It's a huge problem. There are about 30 million people in the United States who have some form of liver disease, and 5.5 million Americans are living with chronic liver disease. On top of that, it's estimated that about 41,000 people will be diagnosed with liver cancer in the US in 2022.
Those statistics are just startling. Bernie, were you aware of that, how prevalent liver disease is in this country?
I mean, well, as I mentioned earlier, I've had people in my family who have been affected with liver disease, but to be honest, I was not aware of how many people in the United States may be affected. I think the total number is a lot more than most people realize.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Lewis, since many people may not know a lot about liver disease and liver cancer, how can you explain the two are related?
Absolutely. So first, it's important to understand that liver cancer is complex. It can be thought of as a disease within a disease. This is because many people already have a liver condition before the diagnosis of liver cancer, such as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, or non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH, or certain inherited liver diseases. Or they may be living with hepatitis B or C infection. These are all known risk factors for liver cancer, as well as gender, race, ethnicity, increasing age, and tobacco and alcohol use. A major factor that can lead to liver cancer is cirrhosis, which is late-stage scarring of the liver, and that is caused by many different forms of liver disease. As cirrhosis progresses and continues to scar the liver, it makes it difficult for the liver to function properly. And as a result, cirrhosis can lead to an increased risk of liver cancer.
Oh, thank you for walking us through all of that. Bernie, I know you've been involved in the One Liver to Love campaign for a while now. Are there any other facts about the disease that you want to share?
Definitely. One of the major things that inspired me to get involved with this campaign is the impact that this disease has in certain communities. Many people are unaware that liver disease and liver cancer can disproportionately impact communities of color and those with lower income.
And that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Dr. Lewis, what are some of the statistics around liver disease in those communities?
So Bernie's absolutely right. The statistics are concerning. In 2019, chronic liver disease was the 8th leading cause of death for non-Hispanic, African-American, and Black people aged 45 to 64 years old. Data from 2018 also suggested that African-Americans were almost 2 times as likely to die from hepatitis C versus those in the white population.
That is such a concerning number. So when it comes to liver disease specifically, what is the most common form?
The most common form of liver cancer is hepatocellular carcinoma, or HCC for short. HCC makes up about 90% of primary liver cancers. Now, primary liver cancer refers to a cancer that starts in the tissues of the liver, as opposed to a cancer that starts somewhere else in the body and spreads or metastasizes to the liver.
Thank you for going through all of that important background information. And as a reminder for those of us joining on Facebook and other social platforms, please feel free to drop in any questions you may have as a comment on our live feed. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can at the very end. So now that we have a very basic understanding about the liver disease, and liver cancer, let's shift gears and head into our discussion on the 4 bases of liver health. So Bernie, what do you consider first base?
Well, when I think of ways to live healthier, food is often one of the first things that comes to mind. So of course, I like to think of the first base of liver health as nutrition, and education is the first ingredient.
Absolutely. So Dr. Lewis, how can nutrition help liver disease and liver cancer?
Well, Bernie's right. Nutrition is a key component in helping people who have been diagnosed with liver disease and liver cancer. Typically, when people have been diagnosed with any form of cancer, their eating habits can be affected. This is especially true for people who have been diagnosed with liver cancer. It's important to eat a balanced diet that includes foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fish, poultry, low-fat dairy products, certain nuts, and soy. When it comes to fruits and vegetables specifically, they're good sources of antioxidants, which many scientists agree offer general health benefits. Although there's no evidence that liver cancer can be cured by antioxidants, Scientists and researchers have suggested that antioxidants may prevent or delay some types of cell damage. So when you go grocery shopping, an easy way to locate most of these foods is to remember, shop the perimeter. Head to the outer edges of the store and you'll be able to easily find foods like lean meats, fish, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and low-fat dairy products that are fresh and less processed, which will generally be healthier.
What about beverages?
So it's really important to stay hydrated and to make sure you drink water every day.
All right. Are there any other things nutrition-wise that people should know, Bernie?
Well, when Dr. Lewis mentioned the idea of shopping around the perimeter at a grocery store, it reminded me of baseball again. So if you think about it, when you're playing baseball, you don't run through the middle over the pitcher's mound. You run around the bases. Thinking about it that way, it makes it easier for me to remember. I also think it's important for people to know that you don't have to spend a lot of money to make healthy choices. Growing up, my parents did not have a large budget, so we had to improvise. Something I remember was eating and having a colorful plate, which usually meant lots of veggies and fruits.
That's a great way to think about it. So, Dr. Lewis, on the other side of the coin, what should we avoid?
Sure. So it's important to remember that your liver is there to remove harmful substances from your blood. So it's essential not to overload it with more substances than it can handle. Because of that, it's best to limit your intake of foods that are high in fat or salt content, such as fried foods. It's also recommended that you avoid alcohol intake. Talk to your doctor about creating a diet and a nutrition plan that works for you and your unique needs.
Thank you so much for that. So before we move on to the next space, let's take a second to summarize what we've just talked about regarding nutrition and liver disease. Eat a well-balanced diet that includes foods like fruits, vegetables, fish, poultry, and low-fat dairy products. Drink plenty of water and every day to stay hydrated. Limit fatty or fried foods. Avoid alcohol. Consult your doctor about the nutrition plan that is best for you. All right, let's move on to second base, Bernie. What do we have?
Well, second base is exercise. Like nutrition, exercise is typically recommended for a healthy style. I think it's important for people to learn about the benefits of exercise and some tips on how to keep moving, regardless of what their fitness level may be.
It's so important. Dr. Lewis, how does exercise help in liver disease?
Yeah, so bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. And medical professionals agree that exercise can have physical and mental benefits for people living with cancer. It can decrease fatigue and help you sleep better. It can decrease stress, improve digestion, and it can increase your appetite and lift your mood.
What are some exercises people can do?
I think the main message is it doesn't have to be vigorous. Low impact exercises like dancing, gentle yoga, light resistance training, riding a bike, or stretching. These are all great options to achieve these benefits. When moderate exercise may feel too intensive, you can also try gentle restorative activities such as gardening, tai chi, or simply just walking around the block or walking your dog. It's important to remember that before you attempt any activity, you should consult your doctor first.
Those all sound like so much fun. Thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Sure.
So Bernie, what suggestions can you share when it comes to keeping fit and active?
Well, it's just like hitting a baseball.
Maybe
keep
for
it
you.
simple. Keep it
Maybe
simple.
for you, yes.
For example, you can walk with a friend at a pace where you can maintain a conversation with the person next to you. It is important to find something you enjoy to keep moving.
Well, I agree with that. So let's take a second to review the key points surrounding exercise. Exercise can decrease fatigue and help you sleep better, decrease stress, improve digestion, and decrease constipation, increase your appetite, lift your mood and help you feel better. Moderate or gentle exercises to stay moving, such as walking, yoga, or riding a bike are great options. And always remember to consult your doctor before starting any new exercise program. All right, now it's time to round third base, Bernie.
Well, the third base is sleep. Sleeping and getting a good amount of rest and recovery was an essential part of my success as an athlete, and it continues to be an important thing for me as I tour as a musician. Our lives today are so busy. It can be easy to forget that sleep it's an important part of our overall health.
Yeah, I haven't been getting too much of that lately. I have a 20-month-old, so it's hard.
It's hard.
Why is it so important, though, for even people like me that can't get it?
Yes, well, it's restorative. Sleep is essential for all of us, but especially people undergoing cancer treatment. The treatments themselves can make it hard to stay asleep or fall asleep. Having cancer can increase stress, which often disrupts sleep. And because of this, it's important for all of us to set up a routine to follow every night to ensure that we're getting the right amount of sleep.
Bernie, what do you do when you have trouble falling asleep?
Well, if I can't fall asleep right away, I would like to do something relaxing, like maybe listen to music, maybe play my little guitar. Just like baseball, music has been a big part of my life, and it's always there for me when I'm ready to unwind and relax.
Music is a great, great tool to help
amazing.
you sleep. Dr. Lewis, what are some other things people can consider?
So we talk about sleep hygiene. If you have trouble falling asleep right away, try doing something relaxing like reading a book. Things like keeping your bedroom cooler, taking a warm bath or shower before bed, and then use background noise to mask out any environmental noise that you can't control from neighbors or traffic. These are all great ways to help you sleep better. Some people find a warm glass of milk or a cup of decaffeinated tea is helpful too. And then getting enough physical activity during the day actually helps you sleep at night. Although some people may find that exercising too close to bedtime can actually make it more difficult to fall asleep. It's also important to be mindful of how food may impact sleep. Some foods may make falling asleep and staying asleep more difficult, so try not to eat within 2 hours before you're ready to go to sleep. Talk to your healthcare team about any foods to avoid when you're trying to sleep. People living with liver cancer often experience fatigue, and napping can be a great way to help address that feeling. Napping during the day is a good way to restore your energy and get the rest that you need.
Well, I think we all agree naps should be mandatory.
Yes,
I'm a big
absolutely.
napper
Yes.
myself.
Right? Exactly. It shouldn't just be for kindergartners. So before we head home to our last space, let's review the key points surrounding the importance of sleep. It's important to establish a routine to follow every night to help you fall asleep faster. If you have trouble falling asleep, do something relaxing like reading a book or listening to music. Other things like keeping your bedroom cooler, taking a warm bath or shower, and using background noise to mask out environmental noise may also be great ways to improve your sleep. Try to finish eating 2 hours before bedtime, take a nap when needed, and always consult your healthcare team about the sleeping plan that's best for you. All right, it's time to fully round the bases and head on home, Bernie. What's our last one?
Mental health. It's common for people living with cancer to experience anxiety, depression, sadness, anger, isolation, and hopelessness, among other emotions. It's also a topic that some people may not be as comfortable talking about openly.
You're 100% right with that, Bernie. And it's so important to not keep this bottled up inside. Once diagnosed, people with liver cancer may feel stigmatized, right, Dr. Lewis?
That's absolutely right. This is a disease that has frankly been over stigmatized. And a common misconception is that it's self-inflicted, but that's not a fair assumption at all. As I mentioned earlier, liver cancer is often misunderstood. It's complex, it's a disease within a disease, and there are many different risk factors that can lead to liver cancer. No one should be stigmatized or shamed because of their diagnosis, whether at home, at a doctor's office, or anywhere else. And we certainly don't want anyone to feel discouraged or uncomfortable seeking medical care due to stigma, whether external or internalized against themselves.
I mean, it's needless to say, everyone deserves quality care. So what are ways people can actively prioritize their mental health?
So mental well-being is an essential part of a healthy life. Learning from and leaning on your friends, your family, doctors, and your support network can help you adjust and feel more in control. When it comes to liver disease and liver cancer, multidisciplinary care is important as it takes a team of healthcare professionals to meet all your needs. For example, you can talk and connect with a mental health professional to talk openly about how you're feeling. Therapists and social workers can be great resources. These are professionals who specialize in counseling, evaluating and providing services to people who may have emotional, social, family, or other problems or concerns. Some of these professionals even specialize in helping people with cancer. Our advocacy partners, Blue Faery and Global Liver Institute, have some great resources you may want to check out. At the end of this program, I'll be sure to drop links to their websites in the comments section. And overall, surrounding yourself with loved ones, as well as support groups, can improve your mental health and help ease the burden of what you're going through. And try to remember you are not alone.
Bernie, you had much success playing for a team. So that support had to be so vital to that. Talk about the importance.
Well, being a member of a team, we have feeling that sense of community that always has been an important part of my life. I know firsthand how beneficial that can be. I did not make it to the World Series by myself, and I cherish all of the ways my teammates and I supported each other, both on and off the field.
From your perspective, Dr. Lewis, how can loved ones be that support system?
Well, Bernie puts it so well. As I like to say, cancer care is a team sport. It's critical for us to create environments where people feel safe talking about their health and not scared, ashamed, or embarrassed to seek the support that they need. By continuing to have exactly these types of open conversations around these topics, hopefully we can change the misperceptions and stigmas that are associated with this disease.
Those are all such important recommendations. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing. So let's review the key points around mental health and liver disease. There could be many causes of liver disease, so you should not feel any shame or guilt about getting a diagnosis. So surround yourself with others who make you feel supported and safe. It's important to remember you're not alone. Surrounding yourself with loved ones, seeking help from a therapist, or joining support groups can help improve your mental health and help ease the burden of what you're going through. So guys, before we conclude, there's a few questions that came in from the audience. You ready to get to them?
I'm ready.
All right. So Bernie, this one is for you. Kristen from Los Angeles wants to know, what is your favorite type of music for winding down in the evenings?
Well, I mean, I have studies in jazz and classical music, but when it comes down to relax, I mean, it all depends what my mood is, you know, what happens the next day, if I am nervous, if I am relaxed, if I need to be pumped up. So from rock to classical music to jazz, I mean, it's always something good there for me. And I love it all. I mean, I definitely love it all.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love this discussion. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us here today. And this concludes our discussion on the 4 bases of liver health. Thank you once again to Bernie Williams and Dr. Lewis for joining me today.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in for our discussion and to those of you who submitted questions. I hope the information we discussed today was helpful and informative. I would like to thank Eisai for making this event possible, as well as Blue Faery and the Global Liver Institute for co-hosting the event. Please check out their websites. We'll add links in the comments below, as they have some incredible resources for people living with liver cancer or for those who have loved ones living with the disease. The One Liver to Love website is also a great resource. Be sure to follow the hashtag OneLiverToLove on social media and head to onelivertolove.com to learn more. Have a wonderful rest of your day.